Hey, Suns fans, how's it going? Suns win tonight, 102-82. They did what they should have done last night, maybe, but they get it done tonight. A very nice win. And of course, I'm very excited to be joined by Suns Geek. How you doing, man?
Fantastic, man. Finally glad to be back on here for the first time this season. Ready to talk about this nice Phoenix Suns win. Always love being here, man. And let's get this started.
Yeah, you know what? No John tonight. I think he's actually having new ass implants along with the Kardashians tonight. Everyone knows his butt is hurting him, so I'm sure he's getting that taken care of tonight or something. So special wishes to him. Say your prayers for him. I hope he gets everything done correctly and he can sit on his tushy again. It'd be nice. But for everybody else there tonight watching us, thanks for joining. We have Suns Geek, obviously. We're going to be talking about the Suns' victory, which, you know what? It was a good victory. It was nice to have it because we knew that what we needed is some rest tonight. And it was the bench came in the fourth and finished off the game. The Suns starters got the rest I feel like they needed, right?
Absolutely. This was huge, especially since we have, I think, a 4-game road trip. And then we come home for a game and then we go on the road again. So pretty much a 5-game road trip. That's huge. And for them to sit out, if I'm correct, the entire fourth quarter, that is huge. And the Suns, they did what they needed to do tonight, man. Obviously, last night's game was very controversial, very sloppy, in my opinion, for the Phoenix Suns last night. And they came out focused from the jump and they did what they had to do. Huge, huge win tonight. And again, I cannot repeat that 4-game road trip coming up won't be easy.
No, it's going to be kind of tough, but let's enjoy this win. Yep. Everybody out there, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button right now. Go ahead and give us a review on Apple. We will read that on the podcast. We can give out any kind of information you let us give out. And also go ahead and follow us on Twitter at Suns Jam. And you can follow me at Matthew Lissy, and you can follow
Suns Geek at Suns Geek. It's everywhere. Just Suns Geek.
Yeah, it's everywhere, right? There's content nonstop from you, dude. It's all over the place. I'm sure you guys all follow him already. But Suns Geek, do you have anything to crack open tonight before we get started?
Yes, sir. It's Saturday night. It's, huge win. Might as well crack open a Budweiser. Had some leftover in my fridge, so.
Oh, do you? Okay. Yeah. Well, I can actually have Budweiser because I'm allergic to corn. I think everybody on the podcast knows that. That's my go-to now because it's corn-free. But also tonight, I have the same thing I did last night. Ooh. It's called Blood Orange Cardamom. I don't even know. It has THC though.
I like that.
So I'm going a different direction with this. It's not too crazy, but it make me feel a little good tonight.
It'll get you through the show.
Yeah, exactly. If things start to fall off, and the wheels start to fall off, I'm sorry. It has to be this drink. But let's go ahead and pop these ones open.
Do it.
Oh, that one went right in my face. Did you see that? Dude, these things, I swear, like clip that. You want to use our content?
Yeah, I'm going to clip that.
Go ahead and clip that one. I swear, I am so careful with this thing, and it goes all over the place. It wants your mom, your dead grandma, everyone to know that you had a little bit of weed. So I apologize for everyone. That was actually pretty funny. But go ahead and cheers.
Cheers,
everybody,
Suns
right?
Fans. Yep, cheers.
All right, Suns win 102-82. Damn, dude.
It's gonna be a great show.
Right in my eyes. I have an emergency break. Let's just take a little break really quick. But nope, we're gonna get straight to it. You know what? Suns Geek, there was terrible news before this game even happened. Last game, the Cam Johnson injury did happen. Now there's like there's some leaked just information about maybe him being out the rest of the season, this month, next month, who knows? It's kind of up in the air. So what is your take on Cam being out? And I mean, I seriously kind of want to just give up on the season because I love him that much. And I kind of wanted him to have a great season. But I know this Suns team is actually, they're deep. They'll be okay. But how are you feeling since this happened?
It's just unfortunate, man. Cam Johnson's one of my favorite players on the team and in the league. And in a year where he's eligible for a contract extension, just came off one of the best games of his career. This is unfortunate news. And unfortunately, as you know, he was suffering from some injuries in October. And, I'm not a doctor, but I think he kind of came back from some of those injuries a little too quickly. That's just my personal opinion. And I'm not saying this had anything to deal, the reason he got injured, but I just think he came back a little too quickly. But in short, and again, we don't know how much time yet that he's going to miss. Hopefully it's not too long. It was reported that he left the arena on crutches. And then, the reports came out today from our guy Flex from Jersey and then Sham Sharnia and everything. Hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully he can come back stronger and better. But it's just bad news, man. I mean, Cameron Johnson brings you so much. And he brings so much to this team. And, you got to, he's irreplaceable, but you got to find that replacement somehow, some way. And it's not going to be easy, man.
Yeah.
Coach Paul down.
Yeah, I ignored his first comment. So, yeah. They can see me jumping over him. I know they can see that in the chat. And I'm sorry, it's funny, after I did jump over him, I bet you guys he's gonna probably point that out. And he did. He called me out on that shit. So I apologize. But yeah, it's tough. I think in a game like this, you kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
You kind of, when the Suns keep winning, you're gonna keep forgetting about the injury. If the Suns start losing, their bench looks terrible.
Oh, yeah.
They can't really put up any good numbers from that 4th spot. They have no one to fill in, even though Tory Craig did a pretty good job tonight. If that starts to happen, then of course you're going to say, man, this sucks. What are we going to do with Cameron Johnson? It is there, but right now it's like, we have to move on. We have to keep going. The bench looks good. Our starter sitting on the bench looks good, laughing at the end of this game. But speaking of the bench, man, there's one guy that's been back and he's been killing it, dude. And I don't know. We played this drop, but we really never have anything to say too good about him. But this time it's a little different.
The Saric smoke break.
All right. So, yeah. Sports Center top 10 to get back to us and say that is the number 1 play on tonight's top 10 plays in Sports Center. And it's Dario Saric with the reverse lay-in tonight. I mean, he's looked so good in a few spurts tonight. This was probably his most solid game being back. 4 for 9, 9 points, 9 rebounds, fighting for all of it, keeping his feet on the floor where he likes it. He's not doing too much too crazy, but Eddie Johnson kind of reminds us at the beginning of the game, Suns fans, give him some time to work back into it. We don't expect dramatic results from him coming off the bench. Maybe he's a starter. Who knows with Cam Johnson being out? I'm sure that's going to be something that everyone's going to talk about. But him coming in the 4th and helping that bench unit kind of close things out, he looked good. I think that he missed a few threes that probably should have went in. He had an accidental almost assist going off another defender's legs. That's things that he brings to the game, and that's the fun thing about Saric. So, I mean, tonight, pretty decent, right? Are you okay with him getting as much minutes as he did tonight?
I think so. And I think due to the unfortunate news of the Cam Johnson injury, I think he kind of has to. And I think that this was a huge step for Dario Saric tonight. And, 9 points, 9 rebounds is awesome. 4 of those rebounds, by the way, were offensive, which is also huge. But he just looked aggressive. Even in some of the games that he's been in where he didn't really play that much, I feel like he's pretty aggressive. I don't want to sound like the body language police or anything, but very aggressive, grabbing rebounds, putting up shots, putting back shots as well. And you talked about that little reverse layup that he had, which was awesome. And it should be on the Sports Center top 10. He just looked really good. And he's another player that's going, we probably spend a whole podcast talking about this. He's one of the guys that's going to have to step up for this Phoenix Suns team with Cameron Johnson being out. And again, he's irreplaceable. You can't replace him, but you're going to have to. And that's another thing too, is I feel like the minutes for Dario Saric probably should have been coming sooner, in my personal opinion. So that's why I'm kind of glad that he played a lot tonight, because he played a lot in Eurobasket and then didn't really play too much during the preseason and everything. He played a little bit in the preseason, but we haven't seen much of Saric. So if tonight was the Saric, smoke break and coming out and all that, then I'm happy for him. I think he looked really good tonight.
Yeah, no, he was awesome. And that was the big thing. It's before I was thinking too, when the season first started, I'm like, can he just come in and start getting his legs underneath him now? I didn't think about him just getting in shape behind the scenes. I guess that kind of had to happen. But then also the injury with Cameron Johnson happens, and you have to see what you have. Also, we talked about last podcast with Cameron Johnson being hurt. That kind of takes a lot off the table when it comes to Suns making a trade for a power forward or something else, like maybe a KD or even like SGA or something like that to help this team down the line. So that kind of sucks. But now Saric is kind of proving that he can be instrumental in the offense. And that was kind of a loosely used word there, instrumental in the offense. I don't think of him like that artistic on the floor. It's kind of stumbly mumbly in a way, but it got the job done tonight. And I'm glad everyone in the chat really is talking about how he did play so well tonight, man.
He did.
Yeah. And that's good to see because Suns fans want to love him, right?
I understand what you said about him being like important in the offense and everything. He's obviously not going to go out there and drop like 15 or 20 points a game, but he can give you points. You know what I mean? So he's going to contribute to the points. It'd be awesome if he could give you 15 points a game. He's probably not going to do that. And that's kind of why I mentioned the Eurobasket stuff earlier too, because he was a big part of that, for Croatia overseas, during the summer. He was a big part of that team. So if he can give you 9 points and a few rebounds and a couple of assists and a nice highlight, then I'm fine with Dario Saric getting these minutes.
Yeah, and there's also another guy too. Sonia did bring up in the chat, Juice. Man, he's been killing it on the court. I love it. And he really has, dude. He's been something else.
What's up?
He's just a different player. Like a lot of these players, like we'll talk about Shaman later, but Juice has been, I mean, it's nothing too crazy. Of course, the stats are never going to look that good, but him being the 4 right now, starting in the position of Cameron Johnson, do you see it as something that, I mean, I don't think this can hold up long term, maybe if Cameron Johnson's out the whole year, but if it's something where Cameron Johnson comes back 2 months, 3 months, who knows, then maybe, I mean, this can hold up. But going into the playoffs with Juice as your 4, is that something that's possible, you think?
I hope so. And I think the Phoenix Suns need to be crossing their fingers and praying for it. One thing I've noticed out of Tory Craig this year, and I'm sure you've seen the same thing, I think all Suns fans have if you've been watching closely, is just the energy of Tory Craig, in my opinion. He's got a lot of great like offensive and defensive rebounds, great defense. And he also hasn't been shy of shooting that corner 3. And I like that. That's very PJ Tucker-esque of him to do.
Yeah.
And he's obviously got chemistry with this team and, experience and everything. But he's been looking really good out there. Now, is it going to hold up for an 82-game season, especially against some of the better power forwards in the league? We're going to have to see. We definitely have to go back and dive into some film on that and everything. But they got to have their fingers crossed. And I wish him the best because obviously last season and during the playoffs, I say this a lot. I didn't even know Tory Craig was on the court sometimes last year. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's how low of an impact he was. So I wish him the best. And again, if him and Dario and Bismack Biyombo and Jock Lindell can help fill in that void for Cameron Johnson, let's do it. It's got to happen, man.
Yeah, and he, I don't know if you know this, but he's actually shooting 42% from 3. Tonight, I think he did. What did he go 2 for 2? I think he was. 1 for 3. 1 for 3. He was tonight. 2 for 5 total. But like that's how much he's showing on defense. He didn't even play 22 minutes, but when he's in there, he's very noticeable. His
4
double teams
too.
Yeah, 4 assists. They were talking about that. I think 8 different players has an assist. He had 4, and there's just different things in the court he's doing. But the biggest thing for me, of course, is defense, and that's where he needs to help out. There's a lot that he's doing, and I feel like he's helping out with a lot of these other players too on the court. Like you're just seeing a different side of these players you didn't see last year, and they kind of just evolved into something else that you can't explain. It's more confidence, it's more consistency, but I think maybe he's helped this guy too.
All I can say is, Sham, wow.
Yeah, Shaman, man, like he, out of all of them, and every time I look at his stat sheet, I'm like, I feel like this dude has more there, but it's never as much as I think. Like last night, he was 1 for 5 for 3, but I still love what he was doing out there. He had like a little cross court pass to the corner, but he's a different player too. I mean, let me just think. So it's a different Shaman, but I was thinking too, like him playing with Craig and Landell, like these guys are playing at a very intense level. I don't know if this is helping Shaman or not, but like the way Shaman played tonight, handling the ball, point Shaman, that might be a thing. I kind of forget about Cameron Payne, and I love Payne right now, the way he's been playing, but just like how we might forget about Cameron Johnson going down the line if we keep winning, I feel like if we keep winning and Shaman's playing this way, and then like Cameron Payne misses a game here or there, it's like I forget he's on the team. I'm not trying to be a dick about it. I'm just saying like that's how good he's been playing, handling the ball. Him and Lee together just look amazing, I feel like.
And I think that's one positive about this Phoenix Suns team is, maybe on paper we might look worse in terms of our team last year, but it still is, to be determined about this Phoenix Suns bench, but they have shown lots of signs of life and lots of great moments. And Landry Shamet is part of that bench. Now, obviously you want a little bit more production, maybe his points per game to go up, maybe some more threes here and there. But Landry Shamet, even last year, as bad of a year as he had, he did provide some good moments and some good minutes out there when they were needed. And that's what he's doing tonight. You take it game by game, you get a little bit of consistency out there. Again, you want him to hit more shots because that's what he does out there. But he can play a little bit of defense. He can play making everything. And him and Damian Lee working together and just that unit. I like that bench unit that they bring off the court. Sometimes it's like Jock Landale and Landry Shamet, Damian Lee, et cetera, et cetera. And Campaign, I feel like that's one injury that we haven't really been talking about is what's going on with him. But I think that just goes to show how deep of a team this is. And if Campaign's going to miss some time, hopefully it's not for very long. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think so too. And Dickie Donkey says in the chat, Suns perimeter defense with Sham is excellent. It is. It's much improved. Like he sticks to his guy very closely, like him and like even Okogie came in tonight and looked good defensively on the perimeter. But speaking of the perimeter, I think offensively, Shaman, I brought up last podcast, it just seems like he can get by his guy pretty quickly on the offensive end. He doesn't seem like the guy can really stick to him. I don't know if I'm just imagining things. I know they're not the most elite defenders, but every time Shaman makes a move, I feel like he gets right by the defender.
He's quicker
very
than
quick.
He looks. Yeah.
So quick. But then like tonight, like he was able to do that and then he passes it out. He's open for like a little fadeaway too, but he passes it cross court. I feel like sometimes he gets in his own head where he doesn't shoot as much as he should. And maybe he thinks like, hey, should I not be shooting this ball again? Because I just shot last possession. Like that needs to kind of go away. Because I feel like he is just so good right now at, facilitating the ball. So that's fine. No one's going to think you're a ball hog. I think that he's good at getting his shot up now. So when he has the opportunity, I want to see it more. I want to see just more Shaman. I didn't know that was ever going to come out of my mouth. And maybe, Jamster's in the chat. If you want to tell me like, hey, totally wrong, dude. But yeah.
Shaman sucks. He's the worst player on the team, blah, blah, blah. No, man, I don't know if you knew this. And I didn't really read the full story. Apparently, like he was dealing with like some family issues or something. Like his dad, or he reconnected with his dad and all that. But I guess he's past that now, to my knowledge, and that is huge. And I think that that's the Landry Shamet that we're seeing. And I know this sounds crazy, Suns fans, don't kill me for this. I think even Monty Williams said to let it fly. Like I think we need to see a game where Landry Shamet takes like 1 billion jump shots and 3-pointers and all that, because maybe that's what he needs, just to see that ball go in the basket, even if the percentages look terrible and the shot chart looks bad. But still, I think we need to see it happen.
Yeah, definitely. And MCG Blue in the chat says, I'm happy for Sham, but I want to see him at the level of consistency to make up for the play last season.
Yep.
I'm hopeful, but still. Yeah, and I honestly told John too a few podcasts ago, I'm like, let's see it for 2 months. 2 months straight. If you're going to be like a 6th man on this team, which he can be, like that's what we kind of thought of him getting paid as much as he did coming onto this team. It's like, oh, that's 6th man right there. That's what you need to do. 6 months. Yeah, a game here or there, like last game, 1 for 5 from 3. But you're coming in and you're going to be doing other things. He's going to defend. He's going to pass the ball around. Like I'm telling you, this guy, he found Jock under the basket quickly as soon as he pulled off a roll. Like he has so much more to his game. So I'm if you couldn't tell, I'm a little excited about Shamet tonight, which is very, very strange. But also like, do you have any more thoughts on Shamet? We can do a whole half hour if you want on Shamet.
I think we need more Suns fans like you, man. We need to be more excited about Landry Shamet. That's my final thoughts on him, man.
All right, cool. Because this guy.
Today I met this cat. He said his name was Damian. He thinks that we're a lot alike and wants to be my friend.
I think that's like everyone's favorite drop. So I had to bring him up. You know what? Like him and Shamit, they seem like they were doing good together in the third quarter. They're kind of like, I was thinking of them as like the extenders. Like Monty refers to Saric as like the extender of the offense when he comes in, but these guys extended the lead. I feel like when they came in the third quarter, they extended the lead from 9 to 14. Or yep, it was the third quarter. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, maybe it was the second. Whatever. But they extended the lead from 9 to 14. Maybe it was the second quarter, and that's what they can do. They can hold it. They share the ball in the backcourt. They take their turns running the offense and they do a pretty decent job against a Blazers team that's shorthanded. But to see them kind of getting along and being a backcourt whenever campaign's out, it just shows that Lee can do more. And I feel like since he's come in the second with Shamit, they just put up solid minutes, and you just want that for your starting lineup because the starting lineup there, it's a back-to-back. You want to give them rest.
Yep.
So if you extend that lead, it just opens up so much more for the rest of the game for this bench to keep playing, and you get minutes from like a Dwayne Washington Jr. later on. So it was good to see Lee. So I don't know how much of a fan. I think he's a good player against the bad teams. Like tonight, you saw like the Blazers kind of bad, tired. So he's perfect for these situations, right?
I agree with you. One thing I've noticed about Damian Lee, and I'm not just talking about the game winner against the Mavericks, it's his fourth quarter performance. I don't know what it is. And statistically, it may not show up every night, but he just seems to lock in and have so much confidence in those fourth quarters. And another thing I've noticed too is he's a good communicator out there. He's always telling guys where to be. He's always talking to the guys, pointing his fingers and everything, which I really like. That's that Golden State Warriors experience, winning a championship, being in and out of the G League, playing with that team for the last few years, learning from Stephen Curry. But yeah, he's been really good for us, I think. And again, this is another situation where, because I know that I'm a big stats guy, but I know there's a lot of stat junkies out there. You probably might want to see a little bit more points out of him, maybe a few more made 3-pointers and everything. I think he's actually pretty good defensively as well. But yeah, I think Damian Lee's been a good addition for us. I know Monty Williams is in love with him as well. So that's my
yeah. Toddy Mason says, or I'm sorry, Taddy Mason or Tajay Mason, whatever. Is D Lee the new Kelly Oubre? Yes, I kind of thought that because of the big shots. I think he hits big shots when they're needed. He proved that opening night, but he can kind of be the new Kelly Oubre where he just steps up and he'll shoot the three. If we need a three, like he just will basically chuck it up and not even thinking about passing the ball up, which I like because he hits most of them. But yeah, I think Rajon is talking about Rajon T. Monroe is talking about he is clutch though and rises to the occasion. I think you're talking about Lee right there.
Yeah,
I feel like he is. I feel like he's really just freaking awesome. And Hey.0 was up, Suns Geek, and let's see what's going on. Thank you everybody out there for watching. Obviously, John is not here tonight. He is having a new butt implant put in. So everyone say your prayers for him. And go ahead, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. And you can tell I'm talking about the bench tonight a lot. None of the stuff.
No, we should be. We really should be.
Yeah, and that's good because that's the way this game should have went. It should just be the bench. And this guy, you know what? I talked about Craig, but he was starting. So obviously that's not the bench.
It still feels like he's coming off the bench.
It still feels like it though, right?
Yep.
Yeah. There was towards the end of the game, this guy actually had he finished off pretty good. Oh wait, do we even have this? Oh, there's no drop for Okogie. I forgot. I was looking for the drop for Okogie. I'm like, you know what? I don't think John did make that one yet. So, you know what? So Okogie comes in the fourth, and he has a couple nice plays. So he has a steal and the dunk in the fourth quarter. Then the next possession, the big rebound. He was getting to the rim, drawing fouls. Much needed game because I feel like he came in last game when he started to play earlier in the game. He was so out of sync with whatever was going on. Tonight, defensively, it looked great. The biggest thing, like I mentioned before, keeping those starters on the bench. And I feel like when he came in, I'm like, let's see how long he can stay in the game and keep those starters on the bench. But that's what he did defensively. I mean, he's so excited to be one of the better defenders on this team, and he got to prove it tonight. I mean, I don't know how much you really can take from his game tonight and put into the rest of the season, but these are big moments because you don't want those starters to come back in and play another 2 or 3 minutes to close out the game. So he worked well with everybody off that bench. And you need to see more of that because Okogie is a guy that I think that was going to be like a fan favorite kind of coming here, defensive hustle guy that's always like the fan favorite. So maybe he gets more minutes in the future, right? Or
yeah. I kind of like how you worded it when we were talking about Landry Shamet, how you said something like, well, let's see this for like a 2-month span. Let's see this for like a 2-week span with Josh Okogie. You know what I mean? But you are right. The dude is an absolute machine. He hustles. He plays great defense. You will never have to question his defense. He's kind of like a Javon Carter. You know what I mean? But in terms of offense, that's where he really does struggle. He's a terrible 3-point shooter. He is pretty athletic for what it's worth, but he doesn't really do much with that. Like, I think today he had like a charging, he like jumped a little too high and like crashed into a dude. And, again, he's not really going to be shooting lights out or anything, but,
no, he's not.
But we are going to need a little bit of production from him, even if it is just defensively. And some of those steals were really nice. There were some steals where he just ripped the ball out of the dude's hands and ran the fast break. And, you might want to see a little bit more playmaking out of him as well. But again, energy and effort and hustle, you will never have to question out of Josh Okogie.
Yeah, I don't think so. And you know what? When the Suns have that hustle and they have that energy, it kind of looked like the Blazers were just kind of, they're short-handed, but they were last night. I think the Suns were just kind of sucky last night. It was just one of those stupid games that kind of got out of control.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what we'll blame it on. It's just a bad game, right? You know what though? But the Blazers, I think you threw their shot chart up there in the second quarter, in the first half, and 35% shooting basically in the first half. And I mean, you come out that way, and the Suns kind of just set the tone. They just come out, and it's 24-16. End of the first, it's 35-26. Then they start they're going up by 14 points after that. Then it kind of turns into a 20-point game after that, and then almost a 30-point game. But when the Blazers start out shooting 35% the whole first half, and the Suns have a half like they had, it's pretty much over, right? Were you thinking like the way they were shooting the Blazers, the way they were shooting, and the way they went to halftime, just being up in the third quarter, when did you figure out this game was over? Was it by halftime or in the third quarter?
Early third quarter.
Because
you know this. No lead is safe in the NBA, but this is a really different situation. Like, I'll go on my little Blazers rant real quick. Obviously, you would have loved to see Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons against this Phoenix Suns team again. That would have been nice to see, because I think this game would have been a little bit different if those two were healthy tonight. But this Blazers team, they do have talent. Last year was a different year for them. They obviously decided to go in a different direction by trading CJ McCollum and, hiring Chauncey Billups, who I do think is a good coach. He just needs to prove that he's a good coach. And again, anytime you're missing potentially 40 points per game or whatever, you're obviously going to lose. And the Blazers did look tired tonight, but they got a lot of young guys out there who can play, who are very talented. But this game was weird because it seemed like even though we kept the Blazers to 82 points and everything, there were some stretches where either we struggled to score or the ball just wouldn't go in the basket, but they couldn't get anything going either. Even when they would go on quote runs, it didn't really seem like it. Like, this game was over by halftime. But I kind of gave the benefit of the doubt. I was like, but I was on my phone a lot in this game. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, there wasn't much going on after halftime. And again, the energy, and that's not an excuse, because we're probably gonna see the Phoenix Suns like this on a night, back to back, where the energy is just not there. But these guys are professional basketball players. But you could tell a lot of young Blazers players out there, they were tired. They gave up by the fourth quarter, and just is what it is, man.
Yeah. I also think that last game, the Suns, they seemed like they were in it, and it seemed like the Blazers at times would actually go through those spurts where they were just kind of missing everything. So you know what? I mean, it kind of seemed like that again tonight for the Blazers, but the Suns getting out to such a big lead in the beginning, that was just the thing. I mean, they did last game. I think they started off, they were like up 11-7, or
they were leading most of that game,
17-9 or something like that.
But it seemed so sloppy though.
It was very sloppy.
Yeah, it didn't.
It's because of
like
the injury. I think that just threw everybody off. I think they knew. They're like, fuck. Like, I mean, they worked so hard to get there, and Cam Johnson's been part of that team for a while now, and they have that chemistry. They knew. They were upset, but it's all right though now. But there was another injury someone brought up earlier in the podcast. The Ward. He's not injured. Okay, I didn't mean to actually lead to suspense there for you to come back commercial break. He is not injured. He seemed like he might have been. Corey Frith said, did it seem like Bridges was playing hurt tonight? You know what? I'm really bad at really trying to track down Bridges and how well he's doing for some reason, because he blends in so well most of the time. But I did notice last game, like after Cameron Johnson went out, it was by second quarter, Bridges did kind of like go into the back of the basket and did seem like kind of hobbly coming back. We know he hasn't missed a game forever, but like in a game like that, like tonight, did it seem like he was injured? Did you notice anything? Because that kind of freaked me out. I didn't know if you noticed anything or not.
That is a great question. Again, we're talking about Josh Okogie's energy. In terms of energy, I didn't really see that, but maybe on paper, we didn't see much of Mikal Bridges tonight, in my personal opinion. There was one particular play where I think he might have gotten hit on a screen or something like that. He kind of just looking. I don't know. I don't even remember when this happened, but I remember kind of looking at Mikal Bridges and. Maybe I pray not. I don't want Mikal Bridges to be injured.
No,
he's
I don't
literally
think
the
he's
NBA's
hurt.
Iron Man, but you are right. I can understand why Suns fans are thinking that, but this wasn't the best Mikal Bridges game tonight, and I hope that it's not, due to injury.
Okay, and also, let me see here. Yeah, Jeff F says Mikal looked tired. That's true. Taddy Mason says Phillies lost, so they lost I think it's game 6 of the World Series. So whatever, Houston, F them. I don't really care because they just cheat. We'll find out in 2 weeks they were cheating, and
but we've seen lots of games like this from Mikal Bridges where he won't, like tonight he had 11 points, 2 assists, 3 for 7 shooting, only 27 minutes too. But and again, I don't want to question his defense or his energy, but I didn't see too much out of Mikal Bridges. I think I remember him hitting 1 3-pointer from the corner. And that was it. I don't really remember much after that. So
that's why these guys will never be all-stars like him and Ayton, because they can't consistently put up the big numbers.
Exactly.
You have to have the numbers.
The highlights.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing too. But taking the night off kind of reminds me of this guy.
The point guard.
All right, so Paul just came out 11 points in the first half, looked great shooting wise, and maybe that's why the Suns were able to kind of put the game away early. So we haven't really seen that from him this season. I feel like we've seen a lot of games where it takes him a while to get into his shooting. He's more consistent towards the end of the games. Tonight, though, he got it done early. He was able to get rest. Is this a Chris Paul rest game where he just plays 25 minutes? Because tonight on the back-to-back, he's not sitting out. There's plenty of players his age, 10 years younger than him, that are going to sit out tonight. He doesn't sit out, but he plays 25 minutes. Is that like his game where he just, is this his rest game? Is that what it is?
You know what? If this is his rest game, I'm totally fine with that, because I think you mentioned it earlier. There were so many guys with assists tonight. It's hard to keep track. And that's a good thing. If Chris Paul finishes the game with 4 assists and we win this big, I'm totally fine with that. And I feel like despite all the heat, I guess if you want to call it heat, that Chris Paul may be receiving. And yes, the shooting percentages are pretty bad and everything. And even Monty Williams mentioned he needs to be shooting more, yada, yada, yada. I don't care. I think Chris Paul's looked really good this season. Call me crazy. The numbers are there. He had 30 something assists and only 1 or 2 turnovers throughout a small stretch recently. I think he's going to be just fine. Obviously, you want to see a little bit more aggression from Chris Paul, if you will. Those fancy plays and everything, and the dribbling and the handles and the beautiful mid ranges that he seems to go perfect from. But I'm not too worried about Chris Paul just yet. And I do agree, he does need to be shooting more, but 15 and 4 tonight, I'm fine with that, man. He'll be all right.
Yeah, I think so too. And he's leading the league in assists, I'm sure, with 11.
Yeah,
he always is.
Something like that,
they always try to guess it, but it's always going to be Chris Paul until he's retired. Blaze Megatron said CP3 was dozing on the bench doing a Sir Charles impression. You know what?
I'm fine
he
with
doesn't
that.
have much. He's still doing the vegan or just plant-based diet. You're not going to have a whole lot of energy.
Yeah.
So getting that, I feel like that has a lot to do with him getting hurt and stuff, but he'll never stop. He'll never eat meat again in his life. And it's going to drive me nuts because he needs to eat some meat, get some energy. But yeah, tonight was awesome. This is going to be a really weird one tonight when it comes to the award of Jam Star of the Game.
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Suns fans, this is where John tells you to go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe, and also follow us on Twitter. If you haven't right now, just hit the like button right now. Right now. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
Hulk smash that
Actually,
like
don't do it
button,
again
y'all.
because it just comes undone. Yeah. But yeah, Jam started the game a little early. But what do you think? I mean, who do you give it to? I bet you, is it someone off the bench? Who you got, man?
You know what? Let's give it to Dario Saric, man. Because again, I'm serious. Like these minutes tonight were big for him. And this is coming, you know, I mentioned it earlier. He didn't play that much in the preseason, hasn't played much this season, but coming off of that bad injury and everything, providing these minutes when we need it, letting our starters rest. And you know what? I feel bad that we haven't really talked about it that much, but the jam start of the game should also go to the Phoenix Suns blocked shots tonight. What was like the most blocked shots since like 2010 or something like that? Let me pull up the number and make sure I'm getting this correct. 14 blocks. I think we had 7 before halftime. The Phoenix Suns defense was absolutely incredible. 14 blocks is huge. You don't really see that much, you know, throughout the season. So that's great.
No, it is awesome. I was going to say, like, anytime Bismack's in there, he is just able to get his hand over the ball perfectly. Like, the way to block somebody from behind and not actually foul them all the time is very impossible. Even D8 tonight, how many blocks did he have? He had 2 blocks. Two blocks tonight, and he only played 15 minutes. But yeah, the blocks were insane, and that's great. That's just like, you can't go in there. Maybe it's tired legs from the Blazers from last night. Maybe it's that little extra oomph they need. But no, the way Bismack is, it's not even about positioning for him. I don't know how he does that, because he gets his hand perfectly over the ball almost every time. And when you look at him running up and down the court, I don't think of like a guy that can block shots. Do you? Like, I know he's longer, but he doesn't seem as tall. You know what I mean? So it always kind of surprises me how good he is at blocking shots. It's just me looking at the game. I know this is his thing though. Defense, it's great. But also like the way that Bismack is, man, like great game, beautiful game. But then that hook shot. The hook shot's kind of like a cute girl and then she smiles and has no teeth. You know what I mean? That hook shot, when he pulls that out, dude, it's just bad. Like, but he made one tonight, so it was good to see that.
He seems to have lots of games like that. Like he recently had like a 5-5-5 game, but I love that. And he is aggressive with that hook shot. Not many players do the hook shot, and I wish that they would do the hook shot. But he grabs great rebounds. He blocks shots. He doesn't care if it's Damian Lillard or Stephen Curry. It doesn't matter. He'll block anybody's shot. And you are right. Like he is a little bit taller and, you know, in length, a lot bigger than he seems. So shout out to Bismack, man. He's great.
Yeah. So my jam star, this is tough. I think I'm gonna give it to just
there's a lot of them.
I'm gonna go out and I'm just gonna do Shamit tonight. I know Devin Booker's had 24 points, which is amazing. He was shooting so good. 9 of 20 though, still doesn't look that good, but his shot looked a lot better than it did last night. Fucking great game from him. And I think I'm going to give it to Shamit just because he's been playing hard. I haven't given it to him yet, but let's go down and see what the Jamsters think. First of all, Metal Mike, listen, he went vegan to get more energy. Yeah. Some people believe that. I don't know if it's true or not, but I guess we can fight about that on another podcast. Maybe the Joe Rogan podcast. Let's go on that one and talk about it. So Jam Stars, MCJ.
Dario.
Oh my gosh. MCG Blue.
MCG Blue.
I can't even say. Dario for Jam Star tonight. Blaze Megatron. Saric. Yep. So he agrees with you. Dickie Donkey. All right. So every name could it just be like Michael Smith or something? Dickie Donkey, Tory Craig, Sonia Juice. Metal Mike saying Tory Craig too. Nice. Yeah, you know what? It's true. It's so hard when the bench plays so well, dude.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a jam star of the game because the whole bench could get the award. You know what I mean? They were that good tonight.
Yeah, and also Kiko does say the defense, phenomenal defense all night long. It was good. Shauna Liz, Craig. Yes. So it's crazy. Craig even like, you know what? Like 5 points, but people notice the difference. It's all in the defense. It's all in everything else he's doing out there.
Cutting to the basket, grabbing offensive rebounds, you name it, man. Yeah. Tory Craig's been good.
So CL Oracle says Tory kills tonight. Juice. So, you know, Sonya, just suck my jock. You know what? We have not played that drop into podcasts, so let's go.
Jesus, this is a nice limo.
Yes, it is. Now suck my
Jack Landale.
Yeah, perfect.
love
So
that.
thanks for bringing that up because I think it's been a while since we played that one. Let me see if there's any other ones in here. I don't want to forget anybody.
You know what? I know Jock didn't have the best game tonight, but that dude is just so fun to watch, man. I love
Oh
Jock
yeah,
Mondale.
he's awesome. I mean, he was 4 for 9 still tonight.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, that's not him.
Or
2 for 4, 2 for 4 tonight.
Yeah.
5 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists for him too. And
But
that's
the
the thing
dude's
is like,
oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just saying he's just super aggressive, man. He knows he's getting rewarded these minutes and he's earning his spot on the team. You know, even if he does have a bad night statistically, he's gonna bring it every night. And you mentioned the 4 assists. His passing was really good tonight.
Yeah. And also, I was gonna say that I lost my train of thought. See
Sorry.
that? No, I should have wrote it down. I should have wrote it down what I was gonna say. So my bad on that one. But we will continue. And before we get out of here, I just wanted to say, I mean, we still got a little bit longer to go, but before we move on to the next game and look forward to the future and see if the Suns can beat the Philadelphia 76ers, I wanted to talk about Deandre Ayton a little bit tonight. Like, he was in foul trouble early again tonight. So I'll just go ahead and do his drop really quick.
Watch.
Sorry, John just told me and buzzed me in the ear, said, don't tell them to do the drop, just do the drop. So yeah, okay. So I got that flipped around. So tonight's games, I mean, he's always gonna have off nights. And my biggest thing for Ayton is like, what's his ceiling? I told John 30 points, 10 rebounds. That's his ceiling. And then season long goals, all-star game.
Yeah.
But when you have games like this where you only put 7 points and you barely play, I know it's a blowout. That starts to bother me when it starts to happen when he gets in foul trouble. So I think last game his numbers ended up pretty good, but I'm very selfish when it comes to numbers. I want DA to put up those numbers where he's at least 20 and 10. That way it's like an automatic nod to the All-Star game because he will get it if he is consistent and he just puts up those big numbers. So I'm selfish and I hate games like this where it hurts him so much, right? Because I'm always looking for Booker to get 30. He got 24. He would have got 30, but 24 tonight. Are you like selfish that way where you want to see DA put up those big numbers? That way we just get into the All-Star game for once.
I've always said this, man. I'm his biggest critic, but I'm also his biggest believer. You know what I mean? And you are right. The numbers are a big thing. Let's be real. And I don't want to give him unrealistic expectations. He's not going to be Wilt Chamberlain. Let's be real. But he can be, I mean, he probably is a top 5 center, top 10 center in this league. But that there's like 2 extra steps that he can take to get there. And you need to bring it night in, night out. And there's some games where he'll have like 15, 18 points, but only like 6 rebounds. And that's not going to do it. And he does get into foul trouble and he gets disengaged. And you can't always use the excuse, oh, well, they didn't give you the ball and all that stuff. Like, come on, man. If you're going to be a top 5 center, you got to go out there and get it. Like, Joel Embiid's not off to the best start to his season, but he's still averaging 27 and 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
it's pretty crazy. I feel like it might be coming automatic pretty soon for DA. Rajon T. Monroe said, I notice Ayton gets pouty if he doesn't get the ball in the post right away. Like, watch the attitude after he calls for the ball. That might be a thing maybe coming, but tonight, like, he was in foul trouble, so you didn't see him too much out there. But if he does get to the point where he's asking for the ball more, that's good. And I think the Suns need him. And he has been getting the ball early in the games. Like, 6 points tonight right away. And then last night he had 9 points right away. He had a 3-pointer.
He did play really good last night, I will say. Yeah, especially coming off that injury too.
And he's getting his points early. And like, that's what they need. They need to get him kind of revved up for the rest of the game. Just like for the playoffs, like get him revved up, get him all these touches before the playoffs start. That way he can work on his stuff in the game. That's going to help big. But I think looking forward to the next game, we're going to talk about the 76ers.
Yep.
So watching a lot of 76ers games lately, or
a little bit. I'm good friends with a few Sixers content creators. So shout out to them. Rom 2.0, Philly Take with RB. And let me tell you, these Sixers are not off to a good start. And you can't even use the James Harden injury as an excuse. Obviously, he's going to be out for a month. But it's just strange, man. They're just, from what I've gathered, to my knowledge, it's just their body language, their energy. They've been blowing leads and everything. And even though James Harden will have a good game before he got hurt, and even Joel Embiid has shown up a couple of times, even though he's not off to a great start this season, they're just not playing well. And I think they blew a huge lead to the Knicks recently. They're 4-6, and it feels like they should be like 6-4. but they've had some really bad losses so far. And let's be real, the Suns are going to have some really bad losses, as we saw last night and everything. I think we will have a good shot of winning this game, especially if DeAndre Ayton is engaged. And if I don't know if Joel Embiid's going to play, because I think he was out with a non-COVID illness recently. But, the Sixers are still going to be tough to beat and everything. But I think if DeAndre Ayton has a big game, that Devin Booker loves playing against Philly. He averages a boatload of points against them. And if our bench can look like they did tonight, I think we're going to get that W.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's weird to talk about these teams now that have these players like Harden. They have Westbrook,
Tyrese Maxey.
Well, I'm talking about. I'm sorry. So let me just rephrase this. So I'm thinking about. Let me talk about the Sixers, I guess, first.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went way too far ahead.
No, it's good.
So,
I know what you're saying.
Okay, so the Sixers, it does suck because I'm always a big fan of Embiid, and I think I would love to watch Ayton versus Embiid, see where he's at and where he can match up with them. The thing is, though, the Sixers team, you have Harden on there, and he's hurt. He's out for a month or so. And then teams like the Lakers, they have Westbrook, they have LeBron. They're getting older. They're 2-6. The Warriors right now are what, 2-7 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, they've lost all their road games.
3-7.
Yeah, they're oh my god.
So they're 3-7. The Clippers, what are the Clippers right now? They're
not good.
5-4. So, but they all have those players that are like Kawhi. They're just older, kind of. They're all injury prone, basically.
Yeah.
Westbrook not, but AD is on that team where Westbrook and LeBron, they're already super old, so they need the help of AD, but he's not helping them out. So, are these teams? Are they just past their chance? Are these players just past their chance? Is Westbrook, is Harden, is Kawhi not going to get another championship? Should we just stop thinking about, okay, well, if they come back, well, if this happens, they have an opportunity. We keep saying if the Lakers go on a 5-game win streak or 4-game, they'll be like, okay, they're going to beat the Suns in the first round again this year. You know what I mean? That's the way it is.
Yeah, right.
But should we just start to give up on these players and these teams already, or is it too early?
That's a great question. And I had the same conversation with somebody recently. I was like, it's so hard to judge the NBA right now. Because as you were talking, I was pulling up the standings. Obviously, the Milwaukee Bucks are 9-0. I couldn't have predicted that to start the season. The Cavaliers, who I've been big on, are 7-1. But then let's jump to the Western Conference. The Jazz, nobody expected the Utah Jazz to be playing this good. They're 7-3. The Grizzlies are 6-3. Even though we just beat them tonight, the Blazers are 6-3. I could go on all day. There's lots of good teams out there, but these quote contenders like the Clippers, like the Celtics or whatever, it's we don't really know yet. I feel like, there's been injuries and illnesses, and it's really hard to judge the NBA right now. We'll just have to see, man. I mean, I know this is kind of a long way from now, but let's see where we're at during All-Star break. I feel like during All-Star break, that's when teams really start to come into form. And, whenever I'm back on this podcast, we can say, this team's definitely making the playoffs. This team is out of it. But you never know. You might get a few surprises like the Utah Jazz. I'm not saying the Jazz are going to make the playoffs, but look at the Blazers too, man. If Damian Lillard comes back from injury and they get a few more wins, they could potentially sneak into the play-in tournament. And then there's some teams in the Eastern Conference that I'm probably not even naming. But the NBA is extremely hard to judge right now. So I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, it's super strange. And if we're going to look at it as you threw another if in there, if Dame comes back, then they can win. But that's the thing with the Blazers. There's always somebody that's out. And the thing is, the big if that I want to talk about and get your thoughts on before we get out of here is the Suns' future. We're going to already talk about the playoffs and championship already, because we are championship or bust already as a team. That's who we are. So looking at the Suns team, the way they are now, is this good enough? Let's say Cam Johnson never comes back 100%. Is this good enough to even contend right now in the West? I know it's way early, but you know what? I don't care. I want to talk about whether or not this team looks good enough, because that's what James Jones is doing from the press box. He's looking down, not the press box, his own box, looking down. He's watching
owner's box.
Thinking the owner's box. Is that what they call it? Yeah, I'm such
something like that.
He's looking down. He's judging this team, and he's just saying, is this going to be good enough to contend? Do you think it is or no?
Yes, I do. I know we are a contender. I believe we are a contender, but we've already seen a lot of flaws out of this team, and some alarming flaws. Let's be real. I mean, I love the Phoenix Suns. I'm very biased. I'm very optimistic. But over the years, I've learned to be very real with this team. And I even mentioned it earlier. We're probably going to see some very bad losses throughout the season. You and I are going to be on here, or I'll be on my show, bitching and ranting about it. But I do believe we are a contender, but I also think that the NBA is wide open, and I'm serious. Even if there's a few surprise teams out there, I do not know who's going to win the NBA championship. We haven't even talked about the Warriors, or we kind of did, and they're struggling right now, and they're the defending champions. You know what I mean? So, but it takes time. We don't know what's going to happen with this Jay Crowder thing. We don't know which players are going to come off the bench and shine for us. Maybe Devin Booker takes it up to an MVP level, which he is playing at right now. Maybe DeAndre Ayton takes that next step. I'm trying to avoid the words "what if," but you know what I mean. Like, we are a contender, but we have flaws. Let's be real. So
yeah, and Sean Liz does that or say that we need a power forward.
Yeah,
we do definitely now.
Fair.
For sure. I mean, I think it might have always been needed. But you know what? And you brought up the Warriors, and David Ray says the Warriors are 3-7. Shocking, the defending champs are doing this bad.
Yep.
True, but don't they always just figure it out? Like, we
Yeah.
don't want them to figure it out with a big move before the Suns do, because that's the way it is now. I love these guys. I love the chemistry. I love the Twins and all that. But I'm just talking about, we just need a championship. I don't care who's on the team.
Yeah.
If we had to get rid of, I'm not even going to say it, but my friend was saying, like, if we had to get rid of Devin Booker for someone to help us win a championship, and we knew we got a championship and Booker was gone, it's
kind of like the Raptors in 2019. Like, they got the championship, Kawhi Leonard dipped, and the Raptors have been happy ever since. So,
and I'm
they're
not
a
saying
good team too, by the way.
The Raptors,
yeah, they're a good team. They're playing pretty good.
They're another surprise team. It's like they're taking those wins against those supposed good teams. It's good to see that, though, because it kind of balance out towards the end of the year where everyone's kind of back in their place a little bit. But I think that the Raptors always surprise everybody every year. And the Suns, though, they're almost there. I'm not saying trade anybody like right now or whatever, but it looks good. I just don't know if it's good enough.
Although, with this Cam Johnson injury, man, let's be real. James Jones might need to quit being selfish and just make a trade happen. Like, let's be real, dude. Like, Jay Crowder clearly does not want to play here. So, and according to Jay Crowder himself, the business of basketball has taken its course. That's an actual quote he said. So trade him. Get somebody in here who wants to play for us, who can help us win a championship. And then you said something just a few seconds ago or a few minutes ago. You said, like, the Golden State Warriors always figure it out. I do believe that. They're the defending champions, so they can talk all the trash they want and everything. Hopefully the Phoenix Suns can figure it out as well. And hopefully we can get further than the semifinals and go back to the finals and win a championship this year. But again, I do think we have some flaws.
Yeah, we definitely do. And, it's a good team. It's a good regular season team. But once it comes to the playoffs, we know what it's going to look like. So I'm kind of comparing that, what it looked like before to what it should look like in the future. It's kind of hard to, like, really manage that because you never know about injuries from other teams. So you might not even need to trade for somebody to stop Giannis or something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm not going to say, like, there's a player out there, but I'm just, as an example, it's tough. And I think there should be a trade that's going to happen. But right now, let's enjoy the wins. I think we're doing very well as a team.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else, Suns Geek, that you want to throw out there before we go?
Oh man, well, again, thank you so much for having me on. I was glad I was able to help you guys out. I've always said to my fans on my show, like, if you guys are supporting the Suns Jam Session podcast, you're supporting me. I'd love to be on here more often. Check me out on Suns Geek. Follow me on Twitter. I've actually been on TikTok a lot lately, building a small following on there. TikTok's pretty fun. It's easy to upload and everything. I know you guys are on TikTok as well. Strangely, I haven't followed you guys yet. I got to follow you guys.
Be careful. It's
but really just having fun with the Suns content creation. I'm really working my ass off over here, and I'd appreciate it if you guys would check me out. And I hope to be on the show very soon.
Yeah, and also, if you want to check out another Suns podcast after the game, the Aussie Suns fans podcast is going to be on wherever the hell you can watch and listen to that one. I think it's on YouTube. I haven't watched their live podcast yet, so maybe I think
it's just Aussie Suns fan. You just type or Aussie Suns podcast. I think you just search bar that and it'll pop up. Yeah, they're on Twitter as well. Aussie Suns fans, I think, is their Twitter.
So it's a fun podcast. So go ahead and check that up. Check that out after. And yeah, I mean, I think we had a great podcast. And thanks again, Suns Geek.
Of course.
You're already getting some love in here, Dickie Donkey, dude. You know, Sonia's saying geek. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Sonia.
Yeah, Metal Mike. It's fun. It's fun after the Suns win, and it's fun just hanging out with you guys. So go ahead and like, subscribe, all of that. Follow us at Suns Jam on Twitter. Go ahead and follow me at Matthew Lissy, and you can follow Suns Geek
at Suns Geek.
Suns Geek.
Something like that.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead. Let me go ahead and find the drop and go home and love your family.